production of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right?
Very.
So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Big Ten champions.
National champions, yes. The Ducks take home an indoor national title.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck athletics.
It is Coaches Clinic weekend for Oregon football. It was fun in Autzen Stadium today to see all the coaches learning from Oregon football as the Ducks continue spring practice today. Oregon also will scrimmage at Autzen Stadium on Saturday. That's one of three scrimmages, the first of three scrimmages during the spring. And then, of course, everything culminates on April 26th with the spring game at Autzen Stadium. Limited parking passes remain on GoDucks.com. And a fun announcement today regarding your spring game guest coaches. Outstanding to have some legends returning to Eugene. And you talk about legends. There are so many to choose from now around Oregon athletics, but Mike Bellotti and Christian Gonzalez will be one pair of guest coaches, and Rich Brooks returns to Rich Brooks Field along with Bucky Irving as one of the guest coaches. The spring game, April 26th, 1 o'clock, free admission with a donation to Food for Lane County. Remember, though, get those parking passes. And a reminder that I was yet again reminded of today for a reason I will tell you about later. There's a lot of construction going on around the Casanova Center, so the parking and traffic flow, and I'm told now even addresses have changed around the University of Oregon Autzen complex. So just be aware that the shuttles will be a little different. Everything's a little bit different for the spring game with the construction of the new Oregon football. You don't know this based on where I'm oriented in the Casanova Center, but I'm actually pointing to the construction zone that way, like, I don't know, 200 yards away, where things are getting constructed right now for the new Oregon football indoor facility. Spring game, though, coming up April 26th. We've also got a number of diamond sports to tell you about: men's and women's tennis and Oregon track and field in action, Oregon lacrosse on the road, beach volleyball wrapping up their season soon, and we'll cover it all today. Track and field. On the heels of a record-breaking performance at Stanford, Diana Cherotich has been named the Big Ten Freshman of the Week. It was announced at the end of yesterday's show, and I wanted to make sure to cover it today. Cherotich won the 10,000 meters at the Stanford Invitational, broke the school record, and became the number 9 performer in collegiate history. That school record, by the way, broke it by 20 seconds in her debut as a Duck. The Kenyan native is already off to a ridiculously hot start. And here's something to keep in mind. The previous Oregon record was set by someone named Jordan Hasse in 2013, one of the greats in Oregon track and field history. Pretty cool to see the Big Ten Freshman of the Week in her debut. Congratulations. That's awesome. Elsewhere, Oregon football continuing spring practice today. Tony Tuioti, Duck defensive line coach, probably going to see a few more pro Ducks from the defensive line group, where Tony Tuioti has enjoyed so much success here at Oregon. But some new faces now emerging into leadership roles, and a lot of guys that he'll tell you about here that are exceptionally talented, and a lot of them that didn't see the field a ton even last year. That's sort of the theme of a few different position groups for Oregon football this year. They had so much experience with the transfer portal and guys that had been here at Oregon for seasons, right? Seasons of experience. Now, with all these great recruiting classes the Ducks have continued to stack, we are seeing some of those guys emerge as potential starters. Position battles continuing, and it sounds like Coach Tuioti likes what he sees on the defensive line. Tony Tuioti after practice today.
Tony, you know you're going to have to replace over 1,600 snaps from last season and have a younger group, but most everybody was returning guys. So what do you see in the challenge of restocking and reloading your room when it is mainly returning guys this offseason?
Yeah, I think when you do things the right way and our guys come here and they play and they produce, they get opportunities to go on to the next level, whether they're going to leave early or whether it's by graduation, and you're doing it the right way, we should have it like this. And we got talent. Excited about the talent that we have in the room, but just the experience is what we need to come along with them. So really love the young guys. Like, we really didn't have a lot of reps for guys like Tion Gray, Terrence Green, but those guys are capably well enough to play for us up front last year. But we just had Derek and JC that were really, really good. But these guys here are definitely guys that can make plays. Obviously, Amari Washington has been having a great spring, and he's a guy that's going to carry a lot of the load for us too as well. Then adding Bear, he's so twitchy, he's powerful, he's strong. He adds another layer for us to be able to have a player that can create havoc plays, just like DJ did for us, and be able to get after the quarterback too as well.
Front right, Zach.
Just more about Bear. How have you seen him kind of fit in the locker room, kind of add to the culture here, and then his production on the field too?
Yeah, it started off very quiet, very reserved, but he reminds me a lot of how Birch was, how Jamari Caldwell was when they first got here, and slowly they start opening up, once they feel more comfortable with the brotherhood we have here. But he's been great. It's been awesome in the building, coming up, getting extra meetings. He's doing all the right things, so taking in coaching. He's been accountable to his teammates, and so excited about where he's at right now. Obviously, he's kind of drinking out of a fire hose a little bit, just kind of learning the system, but that's what spring ball's for, so just excited about his growth, and he's been at practice every day, not missing any reps, and just excited to see what he's going to be able to do for us this year.
On the left, Eric.
I guess maybe with Amari, where are you seeing the growth the most, and is he ready for this moment?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Mari. I think his best football is still in front of him. For a guy that's his size, that's twitchy, that's powerful, he's got very strong hands at dominating the run game, but he also can rush the passer. And he showed that last year that he had the ability to do that. And now he's got, all the reps. You look back and you look at the amount of reps that Harmon got and Caldwell got, and you add that to Mari's reps that he's going to be dependent on this year. I expect Mari to be able to have a big season for us, and he's got to. And he's really done a good job in this offseason, just kind of taking on the leadership role. He's the older guy in the room now, and he's doing a really good job just kind of leading by example and bringing guys along with him.
Berger on the right, Chris.
You have that large group of redshirt freshmen. I'm just wondering, from that group, who's really stood out for you this spring, and what are you expecting from those four going into the season?
Yeah, Tion Gray is a big, powerful man. He's all of 6'6", 345 pounds. And he's a guy that can command four hands. And when you're looking for a defensive lineman in the run game, especially in this conference, you want to have big bodies that can take on double teams and be able to play combination blocks. And I'm really excited about what he's able to do. The last practice, we had a goal line period. He made a big-time TFL play for us. Another guy that's really had a really good spring for us so far has been Jericho Johnson. Really good job of being able to attack the line of scrimmage, and he's been showing up time and time again in practice, so really excited about his development. Aiden Breland has been doing a really good job for us. He's been playing defensive end, sliding him down, playing defensive tackle, like we did with Brandon Dorless. Very similar, but, he's longer. He's all of 295, but he's been able to show up for us a lot, and he's a guy that can play on the edge in the run game, first, second down, slide them inside on third down, and be able to take advantage of, lesser athletes at that guard position, because he definitely can rush. And really, towards the end of the season, Aiden Breland was probably like our best interior pass rusher, really coming along. So excited about what he's able to do for us. Ashton Porter, another player for us that didn't play a lot of reps, but he's been having a good spring for us too as well. So we're kind of relying on, Aiden, Ashton Porter to be able to help out. We're losing Birch. Mattel's taking a lot of those reps there. But just being able to have some extra guys there to be able to take those reps too as well is going to be big for us.
Front right, Zach.
Looks like, excuse me, looks like Elijah has put on some weight this year. Looks like he's kind of filled out. Do you know how much bigger he is than he was last year? And what have you seen from him so far this year?
Elijah's done a great job just putting not only any weight, but just lean muscle to his frame. He's got a really big frame. He's got broad shoulders. Elijah's come and, early on has been able to show in practice, not necessarily in the games because he didn't have the opportunity to do so to be able to pass rush, but he's improved a lot in the run game. Doing a lot better job of being able to strike and play with his hands. But very similar body type with Mateo. So those guys are going to be able to take a lot of those reps. So at that position, you got Mateo, you got Elijah. They're all similar body types. Aiden Breland, Ashton Porter. So all those type of guys are guys that, were the same position where Birch was at, where Brandon Dorlis was at. So I'm excited about what Elijah is able to do and the amount of weight he's been able to put on. Easily 15, 20 pounds. I think his frame, he can hold more too.
We're on the left, Eric.
Coach, you mentioned Tuioti is like 345. He's not the only one around that size. I'm wondering with Terrence and he and Jericho, are they athletic enough to play together? Could there be situations where you see that, or just kind of are those guys strictly nose tackle?
Yeah, no, they're athletic enough to play together. Terrence Green is another large human being that's 6'6". They're both about 345. We go back and look at like how much weight can they lose. They're just big humans, and they can carry that weight. So it's hard to find those kind of men and be able to play that position. And we're fortunate enough to have them in there. But they also can provide that interior pass rush that we need to as well. With their long hands and long levers, they can put their hands up there and make it really difficult for quarterbacks to get balls off. So we can get some batted balls to as well if they can't get to the quarterback.
Tyson in the middle.
What's it like seeing your son now as a veteran of this team, as an upperclassman? And I'm curious if the offseason or spring football gives you any more time to be more of a traditional football dad to him instead of a coach.
Yeah, it's I can't believe it's going into his third season here. He just had a birthday couple of days ago and just turned 20 and just kind of going back as a dad and just, I'm just amazed that he's just, been here since day one, worked really hard. He was 215 when he first came. He's about 270 now. And, you got guys like Wilson Love and the strength coaches that have really poured into him, just taking my hat off as a coach and just as a dad. There's no better place than having your son at a place here like at Oregon, where you got the best resources, you got the best coaches in the country, you got a defensive head coach that's coached the #1 draft pick in his position. You got a defensive coordinator that's a defensive line coach that's also coaching his position. And it's just awesome just to be able to see him and just grow as a leader and, working with Mateo and the rest of the group. Just really proud of him and just the work that he's putting in. So.
Back left, Matt.
When you guys scrimmage on Saturday and you get back into the office and start watching film, what are you looking for your unit to feel good about what you guys did?
Yeah, I have a picture that I show to our group every day, and it's really the construction that's happening outside. And keep reminding our guys that we're always constantly under construction, like we all are. We're not where we want to be at. We're constantly building, and just having that mindset of good, better, best. When we go into the scrimmage, obviously we're not going to be where we want to, but if we can just show incremental improvements on the things that we want to get better at, striking and dominating at the line of scrimmage, being able to affect the quarterback in the pass game, and then just playing with relentless effort like Coach Toss preaches all the time. We talk about 6 A to B plus 2. If that shows up for us each and every play, we're getting closer and closer to where we want to be at. But even after Saturday scrimmage, we're still under construction. We still got to get better. So that's our mindset.
It feels like there's a lot of pressure on Mateo to kind of build on his season last year. Do you think he feels that? And if so, how do you think he's kind of handled that and attacked that pressure?
Yeah, I think anybody that knows Mateo, he doesn't really feel pressure. His approach and his process, he works so hard and he trains. And so he's got complete confidence in his skill and what he can do. I think pressure is a privilege. And all our guys, they come here to Oregon because of that. We don't shy away from pressure. We understand that to be great, we got to work hard. And every single day, that's what we try to strive to do. In practice, Coach Lanning pushes us each and every day. And for somebody like Mateo, he's always even kill. He's never too high. He's never too low. He's always consistent. But one thing about him, he's going to show up every time, especially when we need plays. Like last year, we needed to have plays. Mateo's going to show up. Wisconsin game, he showed up and made an interception at the end. It was third down in the low red zone. He's going to show up and make a sack for us. So I'm just proud of his development too as well. You know, I look back at him and Tatum. They both came in as, you know, young 18-year-old kids and see them now be leaders of this team. Just super proud of Tail and his process. And, you know, we're going to need him to be his best, you know, for us to go where we want to go to.
Last question, James.
The two-parter on unheralded aspects, Tony. One, heard a lot in the pre-draft process about what JC was doing in terms of line calls. So who takes on some of those responsibilities of the actual calls up front when Jamari was doing that? And secondly, more personal to you, you feel like you get enough credit? Because after this draft, you'll have had 5 interior D linemen drafted over the last 3 years. I think 8 or 9 when you add the UDFAs. There are not too many interior D line coaches in the country going to be able to say that. Do you feel like you've gotten enough credit for what you've already accomplished here as a defensive
I don't really even think about that, to be honest. You know, as a coach, my mentality is always to be a servant, you know, to the players that I coach with. It's such a blessing to be here. Just thinking about it today, over 20 years of coaching ball, you know, we have a coaches clinic here this weekend, and I'm just so mindful of like my own process. Like 20 years ago, I was a high school football coach. 20 years ago, I was working for America West Airline as a ramper, throwing bags in the airplane. And every time we go travel, like I look outside and I'm just mindful of like, shoot, that's part of my journey, and definitely enjoy that. But, you know, I'm just glad that we're here at a place like Oregon where we're going to produce, you know, some of the best players in the country to be able to go out and play in the NFL. And I'm truly grateful for this opportunity, but it's never about me, it's about the players. And I've been blessed to be around some great players that, you know, have using their God-given ability and trusted us as coaches to push them. And that's our job, to be able to push them to be the best version of them. So just happy and glad to be here for this opportunity.
That's Tony Tuioti, Oregon defensive line coach, chatting with the media. And when we come back to the offensive side, one of the quarterbacks, we'll talk with Dante more when we return to the Country Financial Studio on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I lack a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
My son, Ricky, took his life by the use of a firearm. It broke me, and I contemplated suicide. My grandson, I was gonna have to be here for him. I still own my firearm. I keep it in a safe because I want to keep my grandson and myself safe.
Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. We already heard from Tony Tuioti talking defensive line. Now to the quarterback room. Asa Novosad met with the media on Tuesday. Today, Thursday, Dante Moore talked with the media. A lot to unpack from the Duck quarterback. Great conversation with Dante Moore.
What's the competition like in the QB room with, you and Austin are close, but what's it going like against him every day? How's that kind of relationship been like with you guys going for the starting spot?
I feel like overall, just in general, the whole quarterback room has been competing pretty well. There's spring that, Coach Stein has just pushed us every day, just as a whole group. We're not worrying about who's going to start. We're not worrying about who's one, who's two. More of it's just in general, we're just all pushing each other. We're all out there. If a mistake happens, we're all coaching each other. Every time we make a great play, we're always congratulating each other. So it's just been a great quarterback room, great healthy room, and it's been going pretty good.
Second row on the right, Olivia.
There's a lot of high expectations for you heading into this season. Multiple of your former teammates have made some pretty bold claims. How do you deal with those high expectations? Do you silence the outside noise, or do you kind of use it to motivate you?
I just know Coach Landon always tells me pressure is a privilege. I just feel like I'm blessed to be here, blessed to be where I'm at. Just overall, just in general, I'm not really thinking about, down the line, the season or things like that. I'm thinking about every day, just how I'm getting better at practice, how I'm helping the team around me get better. But overall, like I said, it's always good to think ahead, but right now I'm just living in the moment. Appreciate you.
Back left, Matt.
The last two quarterbacks that have played here have had historical season careers at Oregon. How much do you try to focus on just being you and not trying to replicate what they did at the position?
Yeah, just, growing up, I've had great mentors, and one's being Cam Newton. And one thing he always told me is, control what you can control. And also, you don't got to do nothing special to be special. Really, it's just me, I just look at the past. I mean, you can go from Joey Harrington to Marcus Mariota, to you got Darren Thomas, you got Bo Nix, you got Dylan Gabriel. Just so many great quarterbacks. But really, I'm just thinking about my style of play, how I can better the team, just how I can make myself feel comfortable on the football field. I've learned a lot from Dylan. I miss him a lot. I love him a lot. Praying for his success. But overall, just trying to master my game plan and make sure I can better myself every day.
Aaron in the back.
I feel like when you came here, decided to come back to Oregon, you were pretty honest about where you thought you were after your first freshman season at UCLA. Kind of looking back at last spring, what area would you say, or areas you feel like you've grown the most since coming to Eugene?
The biggest thing I would say I've grown over the past year, when I transferred in, I kind of knew the team already since I was getting recruited here, committed, and knew everybody, knew all the old guys and younger guys. But I would say my leadership has grown a lot. When I first got here, I played in college football, so I kind of know how it feels to be out there on the field. But I just feel like just day by day, if it's, when I first wake up, get to the facility, or on the field, or in the weight room, just my communication to the players, understanding who I need to communicate in a certain type of way. But just leading by my voice. I know my actions are really well on the way of my routines every day and how I play on the field. But communication, there's really been something that's big with me, leadership. So I think I've been doing a pretty good job. And they always let me know if I'm doing good, doing bad. So I appreciate the, controversial between them.
Tyson in the middle.
Between your first spring at UCLA and then coming in here last year and learning behind Dylan, you've had quite the array of spring practices. And I'm curious, did you approach this one any differently?
Yeah, as a freshman, going to my first spring ball, I had a lot going on just mentally. I had to learn the plays. Had Coach Kelly, on my butt every day, screaming, just making sure I'd better myself. So I had a lot going on, just, learning the team out there. And then come here last year, same boat, Coach Stein pushing me, had to learn the plays all over again. It was a lot going on, but I think this spring, I've been in the system for a year now. I'm really comfortable with the plays. I'm getting the protections really well. Just, overall, everything's been pretty good. So I feel like I'm out there making more fast, decisive decisions. I've been, protecting the ball really well. It's something I've always keyed on, is protecting the ball. I learned a lot my freshman year, but I feel like this spring has just been a better spring. I've been going out there flying around, having the juice, and just pushing everybody so they can push me.
Front left, James.
Following with that, Dante, what else has to change, if anything? And more in the sense of you talk about execution or certain things, certainly. But when Dylan's not here, and this is looked at as between you and Austin, and those other intangible things in a meeting room, those talking to a team and addressing to a team that a backup may not feel as comfortable as doing when Dylan's here. what are those things that have to change that you've either already done or you plan to do? How you do when what you do over spring break is different when you're the backup versus competing for the starting job?
Yeah, I think I did a really good job last year, even though, I never thought of myself as a backup coming into spring and things of that. I always wanted to push to see if I could, push Dylan to better himself and he can push me to better myself. Like I said, I came in, I wasn't a mouse. I came in talking like I was gonna be the starting quarterback. I mean, we pushed each other in the weight room, in the facility, just every day. But I feel like just overall in general, I mean, understanding what my job was last year. Like I said, Dylan did a really good job competing and winning a lot of football games. But I came in the same way as I'm right now, just communicating, being the best I can be. I didn't have the mindset of being a backup. I just wanted to push myself every day, better myself every day. And Dylan did a good job for pushing me. But as of right now, I know what I need to do to better myself when it comes to extra work, just mentally, physically, also spiritually. So I've been doing really well, and I'm glad to be where I'm at.
Front right side.
What was your biggest goal this offseason as far as training goes? Were you trying to bulk up a little bit, cut weight? I mean, what was your goal in the offseason?
My goal, Coach Love did a really, really well, good job with me. I'm blessed to have him as my strength staff coach. But really, it was just to get faster, cut down my body fat. I did really good with that. I had PR'd my fastest speed this spring, so of being here. So I've been doing really well. Really, it was physically just getting my body cut down, but mentally, watching a lot of film, a lot of NFL quarterbacks, just seeing how they just be decisive on the football field. So mentally, I've been learning a lot of concepts and physically cut down my body weight and got real way faster.
Back left, Matt.
Will's previously said that he likes to work with the quarterbacks to kind of formulate what the offense is going to look like that season. Obviously, there's core fundamentals that you'll try to do every year. But what's that process like of being involved in the room, of trying to find what works for you guys and what works for the offense?
Yeah, one thing I will say about being here with Coach Stein, I mean, I love him to death. He's played the quarterback position. He knows how it feels to be out there on the football field, how to be in the fire. So when it comes to him coaching us, he knows exactly how we're feeling. So, like, if we're off, missing a couple of receivers at practice, he knows how to get us back in rhythm, a little quick short throw, things of that nature. So just having him just to relate to us, and we all relate to each other as a whole group. I mean, he's done a really good job. He's taught me a lot, concept-wise, just being out there on the football field, communicating, leading. It's the way I see defense is better. But overall, he's been a great coach. I appreciate him a lot. He, pushing me every day, always telling me things I need to get better at. But love him to death. He jokes around a lot, but he's a proud dad, and I appreciate him a lot.
Eric on the left.
Dante, I wonder your opinion on the new receivers, whether it be Malik, DeCorian, and Cooper, of just kind of what you've seen from those guys and how they might help your team.
Yeah, they dogs for sure. They, I mean, everybody, sees DeCorian, see what he's done. I mean, he's doing what's advertised. He's true to his talent. He's for sure been a guy that's came in. Texas football is different. I trained down there in Dallas. I got to see how they practice out there. They do spring ball. It's just, it's serious out there. So him coming in, he already had the mindset of, competing really well, but real fast. He's really good with feet, got good hands and that nature. So he's for sure what people are saying is true. He's for sure, legit. Malik, real shifty, real fast. This whole offseason we're getting together, he's been in college for quite some time now. So he knows how to push me. I know how to push him. He's a person that, I've been around a lot these past couple months, and I love him to death. And he's been getting better out there and, making sure he makes his plays. And Coop, I mean, he's a silent assassin. I mean, he doesn't say much, but when the ball's in the air, he's making sure he's getting it. He's from AZ. It's a guy that came in quiet, making his plays, but like I said, everybody calls him Coop Sauce. So here he's making his plays and doing what he got to do. So we appreciate all of them that came in. Kept their head down and kept grinding and learning plays really well.
In the back, Aaron.
Gary told us earlier this week that he kind of had to step up after Saturday's practice and say that, the shoes are big to fill for this Oregon offense this season and that the offense needs to be a little bit better. How have you and your room kind of attacked that this week in practice, and what are some things that you're maybe focused on heading into this Saturday's practice?
Yeah, you can look at the past, look at, all the passing yards, all the touchdowns. Like I already said about, controlling what you can control. But really, I mean, every day is just a way we're pushing ourselves out there. Like I said, it is big shoes to fill, but once you start to think like that, you start to think about, making mistakes and not being the best you can be. But once you think about your shoes and that the shoes you can better yourself and where your feet are at, I mean, you're going to keep grinding every day, understanding what you need to get better at. So, I mean, it's a great offense. It's Oregon. It's been great for many, many years. It's just a great spot to be at. But like I said, at the end of the day, as long as you're getting better 1% every day, that's all you need to do.
Two more from left, James.
Couple of on-field things, Dante. What have you gotten so far out of the GoPro footage that you guys have now this spring, as a tool, as a learning tool? What has that been like? And we've made a lot of the last couple of years of the autonomy that Bo and Dylan had at the line of scrimmage to change plays, hot calls, those sorts of things. Do you have that same level of control and autonomy right now?
Yeah, I mean the GoPro is very, very useful. When I first got to college at UCLA, I had them. We had the GoPro on our helmet, so just being able to see our point of view. A lot of times you watch film, it's like a sky view, so you might miss a read, but you might be like, hey, how did I miss it? So having a GoPro just follows your eyes everywhere you're looking, just helps see where you need to be looking at in the right spots. Overall, it's been pretty good. We'll all be using them. We all have a GoPro, so every day we're just all watching our film. We're hearing the audio of how we're communicating the huddle out there on the football field. So it's been, pretty good. We all appreciate it. And then when it comes to, having the mics in the helmet, it's a very, helpful tool. Coach Stein communicates us pretty well, but he doesn't step on our toes. He doesn't tell us what to do. He doesn't tell us things like that because he knows what he's teaching us in the quarterback room. We're going to be ready to go out in the field. So if we have a certain look, he knows he doesn't have to tell us to check it. He might tell us every once in a while, but he knows how confident he is in us, so we're going to check the right play. So I know Bo and Dylan did a really good job with that, but we've been watching the film, watching how they're doing things like that. So we've been doing pretty well as a quarterback room.
Last question, Zach.
We haven't talked much this spring about Achille. I'm just curious. I know he's still trying to learn the offense and everything, but what are your early impressions of him so far?
Yeah, KJ, he's huge. He's tall. I didn't know he was that tall. He's young. He kind of has like the same mentality as me when I first got to college. His head's everywhere, kind of just trying to learn the plays, trying to be out there, fly around, being in college. Like I told him, like, it ain't high school no more. We're a senior out there dominating everybody every day. You're going to get better. If you make a mistake, just come, talk to me, talk to the quarterback group about, what you need to learn from. But overall, he's a great guy. He's hilarious. He always has his little jokes. But overall, I'm hoping to make sure he helps him out every day. He's huge, but he's a pretty talented player. We can't wait to see what he can do.
Dante Moore talking after practice today as we approach the spring game on April 26th. Quick timeout when we return, chatting with Katie Harbert. Really great conversation with someone who has been instrumental in student-athlete success beyond the field of play. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by your local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This message is for Shauna, my mom who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You taught me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You said you'd never buy your kid candy from the checkout aisle. Or forget extra diapers. You'd never lick your thumb to clean their face. Never, ever become a minivan mom. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk in temperatures as low as 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We're here in the Country Financial Studio, and earlier I sat down with Associate Athletic Director Katie Harbert. She oversees student-athlete development, and we unpack what all of that means, but essentially, beyond athletics, enabling student-athlete success, she's been a part of so many great endeavors around the University of Oregon. It was great getting to know and going inside the process with Katie Harbert. This has been long overdue, so let me just start there. We asked to make the journey across the river. You're over here like all the time at this point, though. Katie Harbert is with us. Katie, it is so good to see you.
Great to be here.
Thanks for coming to the studio. I have been on more Zoom calls related to internships and planning of events than I have actually sitting in the same room with Katie. And therein lies the modern technology debacle that we all have. And I'm sure that you're probably very familiar with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Jake, what can be siloed, but we can access everybody still very quickly.
Amazing?
Yep.
Isn't that amazing? Okay, well, we do have a tradition, and I'm going to start another stopwatch now. We ask that you tell your 2-minute life story every time you come on the show for the first time.
Okay.
So we'll start there, and then I'll have a ton of follow-up questions. The goal is to get as close to 2 minutes as possible.
Okay.
It's not Price is Right rules. Like if you go 2:04, that's still a really good time.
Yeah.
And we hope that you will be joining the It's actually expanding. We hope that you'll be joining the leaderboard on the whiteboard.
That's a challenge.
The best we've ever had is a minute 59.56.
That's sharp.
Okay.
Yeah.
You ready?
Okay. Pressure.
2-minute life story. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So born here in Eugene.
Woo!
Born and raised. Grew up here. Went to public schools and then Marist Catholic High School. Family of 5. And South Eugene family. Grew up going to all of the Duck games. So I can remember throwing the football out, around Autzen when it was only Autzen and just one big gravel lot, which was so fun. Great memories. I think one of my favorites and kind of full circle for me now being here is just 3rd grade basketball playing up at Edgewood Elementary School. And Kelly Blair and Peg Swagner came and volunteered and just helped us out at basketball, and they spent the practice with us. And I can remember baking M&M chocolate chip cookies with my mom after.
The best kind of cookie.
So
by the way.
good. Delivered them, as a thank you, which is just funny now because now I'm in the role of helping athletes get and go, into the schools and do that. So that's diverting from my life story, but clearly impactful.
Yeah.
So grow up here, went up to Pacific Lutheran University up in Washington. I always say I did not want to stay in the state of Oregon, so I went about 2 hours over the border into Washington. But I played soccer there, did a lot within school, studied abroad, had a job. Division III, very different experience, but definitely shaped a lot of who I am and what I do now. I did AmeriCorps for a year. Also married in that year my high school sweetheart, who's also from Eugene. So we've got roots. Went then to Massachusetts. We drove across the country back when we didn't have phones, and we had the atlas, and we flipped the page and highlighted our route. I think I remember being nudged when he was like, "Are we supposed to be going to Michigan?" And I'm the map lover, so I was like, "No!" So we had to take a detour. We did get to Massachusetts. So I did grad school there at Springfield College in athletic counseling. Great program, loved every minute. Had a great opportunity to come back here right when that program was ending with the mentorship of Karen Nelson, who's a legend in my field. She really was one of the 5 original schools that started anything that has to do with student-athlete development. Came back here in 2007. Been here since. Have 3 kids. Love my job. Soccer coach, mom, truly, I drive the minivan. I have a bag of soccer balls in my trunk right now.
I love that.
And all the things. So that's it.
239.13.
It was the story about the chocolate chip cookies.
No, that was great. No, M&M cookies.
M&M chocolate chip. I should have taken that out.
The M&M cookie is the most underrated cookie, and I will die on that hill.
It's true.
It's really true. So now you can imagine, though, when I ask an 18-year-old this question, it's hard to fill 2 minutes. But when you've had the experience that you had, I think 239, well done. 239 is efficient. Now, I have multiple follow-ups. So you mentioned a little bit of how you got into this, and it sounds like a certain story about cookies was very impactful, but how did you get into it?
Yeah.
What was the path?
Well, I also mentioned Karen Nelson.
Yep.
So she actually was definitely, I would call her a major mentor of mine. I've had a few of those along the way. I'd say, as somebody growing up playing all the sports as a young female, sports were just instrumental in everything for me. I think that's where I learned confidence and how to be assertive and teamwork and leadership and all the things that I didn't realize I was learning at the time. And then Karen was somebody I always just thought she had a really cool job. And so staying in touch with her through college, I would come back in my summers and job shadow her and just thought it was even more cool every time I got to talk with her. And then I also had a really important mentor in college, Dr. Colleen Hacker, who was a sports psychologist with the U.S. women's national soccer team and some other national teams, and just super big role model for me in every way of the word. And so, I basically wanted to be her, but the Katie Harbert version of that.
Sure.
And so, I took every class she taught, did what she said, which was go to grad school, work with one of these 3 people, did that. Grad school was in Springfield College, Springfield, Massachusetts. Jody Van Ralt was the one she mentioned, so somehow they let me in there, which was great. And then, again, another great group of role models and teachers and instructors within the field of athletic counseling. So while I'm not a licensed counselor, I feel like I use all those skills in my work now.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and so that's really it. A lot of really important people and then life experiences, I'd say, and a lot of luck getting to come back to my hometown to do it.
You talked though a lot about mentors, and I think that's so impactful for any industry, anybody, right? But I think when people read student athlete development, the question then becomes, well, what exactly is student athlete development? And really, what it is, to me, and what I've said to people is, you are being a mentor for so many people.
Yeah.
Like, how would you answer that question?
Yeah,
like, what is it every day?
It's a great question. It's also really difficult to answer, honestly.
Right.
Like, it can mean something different to each of our athletes, and so. Yeah, I mean, it ranges from, the career readiness. Of course, there's the whole, like, what do I do after my sport conversation? But that, includes a lot of identity conversation, like, who am I if I don't have my sport? With freshmen, it's a lot of the transitional stuff here, like, how do I succeed as a college student athlete on this campus? And so health and well-being and, self-advocacy and empowerment and all these kinds of things. Service was a big piece for me growing up. So really trying to continue to get people to be involved in service and be leaders in the community and the nation and the world, because we need a lot of that. So it ranges from career readiness, service, leadership development, health and well-being.
You cover a lot.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
I always say I don't help them with their sport performance directly. We've got all the wonderful experts for that, and I don't help them with their academic support. We've got all the wonderful Jake Wolf. So I'm like
everything else.
I'm the everything else bucket. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. But that's such a large charge. But 2, like, you talk about the mentorship, and I talk about this on the show all the time. Like, there are so many people like yourself that student athletes come back later and realize, like, how helpful that mentorship was. And just at this point in your career, how proud are you of your alumni network? I mean, because you've been a mentor for so many people.
Yeah. I think I love them, like, with all my heart, like, in every way that word means. But, like, our alumni are just amazing, and they're out there doing such cool things. And I think they're all on their own journey too, especially depending on which sport they are and how far they've played professionally or not. But some of my favorite conversations are absolutely with alumni. And sometimes that's the ones that, are 29 and now they're done with their sport.
Right.
And they wish they would have done X, Y, and Z when they were here. And so now, how can I help them now they're in their different phase of life? They're ready for some of those conversations sometimes when they weren't necessarily ready as a 19-year-old. So I love those conversations just as much as the ones that are like, thank you because my resume is better than every person I've ever talked with in my job.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you're enabling student athlete success beyond their sport, right? I mean, how much of a focus is that in your work every day?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I look at them all very holistically. So everything they're doing is all intertwined into the one person. And I don't think you can really slice things out. Like, you know, the football player is a football player, but he's still
X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z. He's still a student. You know, he is still somebody who has dreams absolutely on the field, but in addition to that, has a whole lot of other dreams too. And so really trying, I think, within my role to help them find ways to achieve all those dreams and goals and not just be tied to one particular thing.
Outstanding conversation with Katie Harbert. We're going to continue with her tomorrow, and when we return, zero in on Oregon softball. Some records fell this weekend, and the Ducks still have like 2 months in their season. Pretty amazing what they've done on the base paths. We'll talk that through when we return on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
August was born 3 pounds, 9.8 ounces. When I first saw him, it was a whole range of emotions. There's stuff I still want to do. Being a young dad, it's not giving up. It's shifting. I looked through his eyes. I can envision a whole future with him already. To throw the first football to him, give him ice cream for the first time. My life is now devoted to his life.
Through all of fatherhood's firsts, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Oregon softball on the road against Minnesota. It's a 3 o'clock start on Friday. And yesterday, the Duck softball team met with the media. Kailu Shar is now the single-season record holder for stolen bases. I'm telling you, it's not just the speed. There's a whole lot that goes into it. It was pretty cool catching up with Kailu Shar this week.
When you came into the season, you've always had expectations of, going back to school. In high school, you were a prolific base stealer. But as you've kind of advanced, your first year, I think the number was like 7, and then it was 14. So you've obviously progressed. Now you're kind of attaining what you wanted to. What's that like to kind of see your progression and realize the expectations that you've had?
It's really cool, just see how God is working. But I don't really notice it that much, honestly. Like, I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just trying to live in the moment, be where my feet are. So.
Since you're not, go ahead. No, since you're not looking at it, I'll look at it for you. But just throwing a number out there. But you and your sister combined ranked 38th in the country against all the other programs. So that's, pretty tremendous. Can you talk about what it's like to have that kind of success and having it with your sister having the same kind of success?
It's amazing. Like, it's been such a blessing to play with her. And just to see her this year, like, do what she's always been capable of, but, get what she wants. It's really cool.
I kind of want to talk about that improvement, that steadiness that you've had in your career. It just seems like from last year to this year, it's just been such a leap. What did you do to be able to have the success that you're having right now when it comes to stealing the base?
Yeah. Boring answer. I feel like nothing different, really. We worked on it in practice, and just getting my jump right has been important, but I feel like I'm the exact same speed that I was last year and the year before, so.
I'm just curious, do you think you're faster than your sister? Have you guys like raced on the 40 on the bases, and can you kind of speak to anything? Do you know who's faster in this all-time sibling rivalry?
I mean, when we do the lasers, I'm faster, but my dad says one of us is faster on stealing and one of us is faster out of the box. I don't know which one, but we could always try. We could always have a race.
This team has always had a certain energy to them, but this year, I mean, I don't know, it just feels like something's different. Maybe it's the freshman group, maybe it's just the collective unit. What do you pinpoint to the differences that this year has been, and how has it led to your guys' success that you've seen so much already to the early part of the season?
Yeah, I mean, we've invested in each other this year, like more than ever. We've spent much more time together. We've gotten to know each other on a deeper level, and I think that it shows on the field.
I know that Coach talked about, I think it was a couple weeks ago, how, what happened last week doesn't matter. It's all about what you kind of do today. When it comes to the success that you guys are having, how do you kind of make sure you kind of encapsulate everything into like a bottle to make sure maybe things don't get a little bit away from you guys, that you let the success get to you, and how do you really kind of mentalize that every day at practice and every series that you guys head into?
Yeah, I mean, personally, like, I just try to think about every pitch as like an individual, I guess, event, because you can't let the pitch before ruin your entire at-bat, or you can't let your error on defense ruin your next 3 at-bats. So just trying to really isolate those events and take the good, learn from the bad, and move on.
What's it been like through your growth as a player, being able to embrace the leadership role that you have now? You've always been vocal, from what I understand, but now you really are able to take on that leadership role and kind of model and mold the team into something that you're looking at and wanting to see.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been easy. I mean, like, I don't really feel like I would be the best leader, my personality type, so just learning along the way has been huge, and reaching out to the girls. We've done like the program, which has definitely helped. We have meetings with Becky, and we always learn good things, and just trying to do your best, and you can always apologize if you mess up or fix it later. So,
can you speak?
Kai Luchar meeting with the media there. New single-season record holder for stolen bases. Pretty cool that we saw the individual record for steals drop the same weekend we saw the team record for steals drop. And now the Ducks are just going to keep resetting that record with every steal moving forward. Their offense has been multifaceted all season, but I think it's really cool to see that Coach Lombardi has continued to talk about fire on all cylinders, and one of those really has become speed. You know, she says offense, pitching, defense. I'm going to say it's a fourth cylinder now with just the speed that this team has, because it changes everything that the Ducks can do. They're on the road at Minnesota, which could set up a showdown for first place in the Big Ten standing against UCLA next week at the Jane. Quick timeout. When we come back, an update on Oregon women's golf, the number 3 ranked team in the country here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots.
And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too. Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Number 3 ranked Oregon women's golf team put together its best round of the week to close out the regular season yesterday. The Ducks fired a 2-under 286 to move up 2 spots. They finished 5th at the Silverado Showdown, which is one of the best fields that Oregon played against all season. And now it's the Big Ten Championships. Then it's the NCAA Regionals. Hope to continue advancing all the way to that match play format for NCAA golf at the end of the season. Oregon has consistently been in the top 5 in every tournament in the spring. The Ducks are a bona fide national title contender. Again, under Derek Radley. He said, quote, "I'm really proud of our team for coming out here and finishing strong today. We had some new faces in the lineup this week, and I thought they handled themselves well, did a good job of making space adjustments in today's round." That's Derek Radley. Now the Ducks get ready for those Big Ten championships in a couple weeks, and you know, it's not lost on me that Kiara Romero was just playing at Augusta. And now here we are on Masters Thursday. We've got it on in the studio, just keeping track of things, a tradition unlike any other. All the phrases that broadcasters have uttered throughout the Masters run. And it's, I'll tell you what, really, really awesome that you get to sit here on this show and talk about Kiara Romero playing at Augusta and finishing in the top 10. That's a big deal. Tomorrow, Chris Clayton's here in the Country Financial Studio for you. We'll continue our conversation with Katie Harbert and a big weekend preview. Talk to you then.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so